Welcome to episode 5 of the Peach Pod, hosted by Protagonist Apparel, where we are unfiltered, unstoppable, and unapologetic. My name is Lexi Floor. As always, I'm hosting with
Amanda Congialdi,
and we're here to talk about all things women's tackle football. So on this episode today, we have some special guests. We have Toni Harris from Chicago Winds, and we have Terry, who is just a super
Terry
fan.
Lister. Terry has some credibility behind him.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
he's not. I don't think he's
we're about
just
to
a
talk
super
to him,
fan.
so
But
he's about to tell us.
I have business with him, and we have to talk some business. But we're gonna get Toni on as well, who is a journeywoman in of herself, very accomplished. So we're excited about that.
Impressive resume for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Week 1 is officially in the books. Obviously, my season hasn't started yet, so all I could do was watch games. Pretty good win this past weekend.
That's right. I don't want to say I told you so, but like if you know who you know, like I'm looking at you in the face. So,
well,
you know,
what did Terry?
You got to talk shit
predict?
And then back it up.
Well, we'll talk to Terry about what his prediction was. How's your body feeling?
It's good. You know, there was this one. If you had watched, I'm also the long snapper for punt. And so I get to release immediately off the ball. And so I'm like, usually the long snapper is like the bigger person that's on the line. And I'm not a line person. So I just like go fast as fuck. And I'm going towards the person who's about to receive the ball for the punt. And if you see me running towards you and you see the ball, like you've got to be scared, you know? So this one girl just like ditched the ball. She just like let it go. And I went to dive for it. And my knee, I don't know exactly how it happened, but my foot, I cleated myself in the knee.
Turf ninjas.
Yeah, something like that. The turf monster got me
turf
or
monsters.
something. I don't know. But
well, I don't want you to tell people you have an injury. Do you have an injury?
No, it's a flesh wound.
All right,
only.
Just a flesh wound.
But it's bugging me.
Mama ain't
it was
raised
bleeding
no bitch,
a lot.
right?
Yeah, it was.
Mama ain't raised no Greek bitch.
Stupid.
So that's a good, impressive win. I didn't predict the score to be that lopsided because
I did.
Did you? In your head, you did, right? After the first half, it was only 14-8. I was at the game, like I said, I was going to be. And I have some observations about that game that I have to come clean about. First, I was, they look very similar to the Atlanta Phoenix, right? I mean, it's basically that team, just different brand, right? Different ownership. And I didn't think you guys ran the ball more than 10 times. I felt like, Lamont, your head coach, and your play caller, who also used to be a offensive coordinator for us, he just wanted to keep chucking it deep. And I just had no words. I'm just like, why don't we run the ball? And
Wait, you thought we should have run it more?
Yes, absolutely,
okay.
Because some of the deep shots were connecting and some were not. I was impressed with the growth of the two quarterbacks who I know personally, Ashley Clark and JT.
They've been putting in a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean,
shout out to them for putting in so much work, and sharing so many reps. Sometimes on teams, you don't get to be like sharing reps with the quarterback. It usually is one quarterback and then they have a backup. So sharing reps and then being able to perform, both of you guys, like big props. Yeah, for sure. I
think the short to intermediate routes were spot on with them, and then again some of the deep routes, I think needed a little bit of work, but you scored a touchdown. So I'm proud of you for that. So 1 game in the books, 1 touchdown. So anyways, I was impressed with the second half. I think the first half you guys were letting them hang around too much, and I was like, too much talent on your team for it to even be that close. And then you broke it open and had 2 defensive scores. So that's like 18 points right there.
Our defense 8.
Your defense 8 for sure. Your defense 8. I still don't agree with the pick 9, but we're going to talk about that later with Toni, because I need to know if that's considered a real football or not. And we're also going to ask Terry too, because he's been around the game for a while.
Wow. Okay. So one of our special guests today is Toni from Chicago. Thank you for coming on the show. I know it was kind of a short notice that we asked you to come on, but
the Toni Harris,
being on the pod.
Are you the Toni Harris? So Toni, just a little bit of her background. The first woman to receive a full scholarship that is a non-kicking position, right? We got to emphasize non-kicking position for college football. Detroit native, from what I've gathered, a Lions fan, but we're going to talk about that because go Birds. And you've been an honorary captain, which is awesome. Like, we have to talk about that experience because that's something that neither of us can claim. You know, I've been on an NFL field, but I've never flipped a coin. I've never touched an NFL player.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't?
Yeah, no, I've never even.
Not even slapped a hand?
Hey.
Oh.
No, man, no.
That should be on your list.
And then she's also been a play-by-play analyst for the 9 Cup for the championship last year. Former DB with the LA Legends. Yeah.
So how long now have you been playing tackle?
24 years. So
that's longer than
some people have
been alive. I was about to say that's longer than some people have been alive.
On my team. Yeah.
I'll be 29 this year. So even though I'm still young,
29.
I've been playing since,
You're not even 30
I'll be 29
yet?
in July. No, man. And that 24 years taking toll on my body. Playing since I was a kid.
You came out the womb.
Basically, since I was 4.
Yeah. You had a football inside the belly. The umbilical cord. She was like
I was her only kid that came out like crazy. Everybody came out correct. They came by the head, right-handed. I came out left-handed, breached, and backwards. So came out legs first, ready to run.
You know why? Look, I have this image in my head. So she was coming out with her legs, right? Because she was holding the umbilical cord, and you know, like the what do you call it?
Ropes?
Yeah, the ropes. She was going like this on the umbilical cord. So take us through your journey.
In elementary, high school, being the first girl on every team I've ever played on. Then going to college, being the first team. But the thing is, between me leaving high school and between me playing in college, I played in the IWFL, which you also played in the men at the same time, which is crazy because that league is so old. I played for the Toledo Rain, and then I ended up playing in college. Played in college all the way up to 2021, basically, when I graduated, because I went junior college first. So I played JUCO, which is some of the hardest shit I've ever done in my whole life. That's a different ball game in itself. Yeah. And then I played for the Cali War in 2022, left the WFA to go to the WNFC, where I should have been the whole time. No offense to the WFA, but, I love WNFC. Because OJ had, the crazy thing is OJ had been, watching for a long time. Like, she came from WAF as well. So when I got out of college, before I got out of college, she had sent me a message about coming to WNFC, but also then WFA had sent me a message. And because there were so many teams that were from the IWFL and the WFA already, I figured I had already known a lot of those teams and a lot of the players. So I just went where I was comfortable. And then 2023, I left Cali War and I went to the WNFC. And I've been in the WNFC ever since. I didn't play in 2024 because I had a torn LCL. But now I'm back and I'm better than ever. Got some fresh legs up under me.
What was your experience with the LA Legends and why Chicago? What led
you? What's crazy? I could never talk down on the Legends. I've never been on a team that made me feel more like I was on a family, other than, Chicago is the same. They have that same spirit as LA Legends or whatever, which makes me feel really comfortable to play for them. But when I was in LA, it was just, everything was about family first. And I really appreciated that, especially from the family background that I come from. And if I was still living in LA, I would be playing for LA. But unfortunately, I moved to be closer to my family. So now I'm in Chicago. And the good thing about playing in Chicago is all throughout my college career and high school, like, my family have never actually seen me play in person. And so I'm closer to home. And 30 of them traveled to last Saturday's game, which was so surreal for me. I thought I'd be nervous. I was a little bit more anxious, but I think it made it feel better because I was like, yeah, my family's here. Let me show them what the fuck I could do on this field in front of them for the first time ever. And, I went out there, I performed my ass off. I had a great game, especially I didn't have to think about, my injury from last year. I didn't have much on my mind but to dominate, honestly. And I felt good about that. I felt like my legs were, like I said, they were fresh legs from like the most recent years I played. This year I feel my best. I feel like I'm at my best. I feel like, there's a lot on the line, especially for Chicago being a new team in the WNFC. And so I'm just happy to go out there with those ladies and, go to battle.
Yeah. Those baby blue uniforms, the color scheme is dope. The
color scheme is so
I'm a fan.
I actually really, really like it. And then I didn't think like, early in the year, because I'm such a matchy person, or I'm always like a very traditional, try to match my clothes with my cleats. And I didn't think I was going to be able to find them, but Adidas had some that dropped, and I always wear soccer cleats. So everything is chef's kiss, man.
I wish I could wear soccer cleats. I can't. I need I need the thing in the front. I need the cleat in the front.
The cleat.
Yeah.
No, I'm cool without the cleat in the front. It don't make no difference. I got small feet, like children's feet. I wear a 4.5 to a 5, so that doesn't make me no difference.
4.5 to 5.
You just have sticks.
Yeah.
You just have legs.
You have little baby legs for feet.
Literally, little feet with big calf muscles and big thighs, which is
how tall are you?
I'm probably 5'7", so I'm probably
5'7",
I'm probably unproportioned, but
I'm 5'8", and I have 9.5.
I'm 5'5", and I have 9 in men.
Do you guys walk on the floor barefoot?
Yeah,
that's why. That expands your feet. I don't touch the floor barefoot, not barely in a sock. Never. I don't like the way my feet feel on the ground, and people be like, you need to have your feet grounded with the earth. I don't give a damn about that. I don't like my feet. I don't like the feeling of it at the bottom of my feet. So I keep on some hot shoes.
You know, I started doing that more because someone told me, oh my gosh, what's her name? Whatever, chiropractic.
Oh, Cheryl?
Yeah, Cheryl. Shout out to Cheryl.
Shout out Cheryl.
Told me to walk barefoot more often because my toes, were
I'm barefoot all the time. Not barefoot because I have socks on. I can't not wear socks, but like no shoes. Yeah. I can't be constrained. My toes are going to be like this, curl up. We're not doing that around here. And plus, I need like a wide shoe. I can't do narrow. I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe see, I don't have a wide foot either. So like, and I have a very high arch, so I could wear high heels. Like I have a very slim foot, so
baby, no, we ain't wearing high heels.
My shoes are so cheap though, so all I do is buy kids shoes.
So you were able to find some cleats. Are you a sneakerhead?
I love sneakers. Sweet. Yeah, I'm not a sneakerhead, but if I see some fire ass sneakers, I'll get them. But my cleats for the game, they're literally. If you look on one of my photos or something, you'll see it. They're literally the same color as the uniforms combo.
We're gonna pull it up.
They're literally the same color. They're baby blue with the navy blue on the side and the lime green on the side and the front with a splash of pink in the front on the bottom of the cleats.
Custom made cleats.
So I think Adidas knew Chicago was coming. That's all.
True.
Wait, so I heard that you also do acting and stunts. Do you do like
acting and stunt doubles? Yeah.
Girl, you be stunting on them too?
Yeah. So when I first did my first commercial with Toyota, originally when I was doing like my football stunts or whatever, they were like, well, we can pay somebody to come in and do your stunts or whatever if you're not comfortable. And I was like, why wouldn't I be comfortable? I play football every day. Like, why wouldn't I? So that's how I first got into stunts or whatever, doing those stunts. Then NFL, I did the NFL 100 commercial where I was tackling Ray Lewis. All of those are stunts with mine.
I saw that.
And then I've done stunts on Cheaper by the Dozen, the movie that's on Disney Plus, and like certain other shows and stuff. Chicago Fire, like it's so fun doing stunt stuff. The T-Mobile commercial with the Super Bowl T-Mobile commercial with Anthony Anderson and his mom back in 2021. So I love it. It's
Tom Cruise.
Yes,
let's call you Cruise from now on.
Basically,
I don't think anybody's
don't worry, I can do my own stunts.
I can do my own.
You don't have to bring anybody else in.
And it pays so well too. It pays very well.
Is that what you do for a living?
No, so like I'm a fraud specialist at the end of the day. Also, I do a lot of stuff. Yes, I do hair. I'm a hustler for real.
So you're a fraud specialist. So with that in mind, Chicago won their first game. And,
wait, what do you mean with fraud specialists in Chicago in mind? Go ahead.
Look, let me ask you,
because you stole that. You stole that game. I don't think a lot of people thought that Chicago was going to win that.
Right. I mean, a
lot of naysayers.
Did you see our game picks that came out the week before?
We both chose Jersey.
Yeah, I think they had Chicago at 13 or 15.
I had Chicago at 12. I think Terry, when we get him on, we'll. I think he had his higher.
No, I think. Wait, Terry. No, I think Terry, you had us at 13. Didn't you?
I had you at 12.
Yeah, I think Terry might have had us at 13. If he posted it on Facebook, I think it was at like 13.
Slim and Erica were so quick to call. They called me at like 11. They FaceTimed me. They didn't call me. They FaceTimed me.
Yeah, I seen them post you on their stories.
Oh, did they? Of course they did.
Yeah.
At 11 p.m. at night, and they're just like, bragging about the picks. I'm like, and you know how they are. Like, I know them personally. They're cool. They're my people.
Mm-hmm.
But that's they're every bit valid to call me out on that. The only one I got wrong. So my question, I have, you've played in college, right? Mm-hmm. Now you're with Chicago, and you obviously have a lot of years of experience. What have you learned from playing at the college level that you're able to bring to Chicago? Like what are your strengths? And do you feel like you have any pressure playing there as somebody with your background?
Um, I don't really put my mind too much on anything about pressure because at the end of the day, regardless of like all the critics and all the teams and how much experience you have, your experience is different from every team you play with. Like the way I play with the Legends is not going to be the same way I played with Chicago, you know? So I just take everything that I've learned and try to stay disciplined. I've been able to keep that from college because I've learned like coming to like playing women's leagues and stuff, the way they structure stuff in college is totally different from how we structure it. Like we want to have it a little bit more structured, but it's just our lives are totally different. Like, you know, when I was in college, all you had was school, you was a student first, and then you was an athlete, and then you was on scholarship, and that's really all you did. Now you're working jobs, people are EMTs, anesthesiologists, firefighters, military, like everybody has a life outside of football that does not include, and some people are still in school. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, takes precedent over football. But you just have to have like a lot of discipline, especially playing in the women's league because we don't get paid to play or whatever. So I think discipline and really dedication to really playing this league to try to stay committed is what a team should base, all the teams should base their, you know, their values off of, because at the end of the day, we're all paying to play in the same league. We all want to be at the same heights, but every team can't make that commitment, which it makes it a downfall for a lot of teams because now you have people quitting and there's other stuff that takes precedence. So
yeah, and I think it says something about the people who are able to do this as a hobby, right? Like this is a hobby that you're paying to do, that you're putting your body on the line for, and you still have other shit to do during the week or the day, you know?
Moms,
so
especially
moms.
people that, especially the full-time moms. When I tell you I have so much respect for them. It's one of our teammates. She brings her son to every single practice. I call her Mama Bear number 0. Her son's out there. He got his iPad. He's chilling in his little tent. But that, like in this league or any women's league, like your daily job and your daily duties and your mom duties, none of that stops just because you play football. Life does not stop, and life will pass your ass by if you let it. So I just applaud anybody. Travel players, people in the military, because it's so hard to like get scheduled to connect up with game times and stuff. Like I applaud anybody who's doing this as a hobby and, you know, just really enjoying it. Like I don't take anybody for granted in women's football.
So what is one thing that you're looking forward to most this season?
I think one thing I'm looking forward to most this season is for Chicago to prove that we belong in WNFC. Like, I just want to shut up all the noise. Now, we got the week 1 jitters out. We let the little rankings come out, you know, the week before, but now we're looking to shut up a lot of teams and shut up a lot of people about where Chicago should be on those, you know, those rankings. Like, we have a solid fucking defense. Our offense is nice. You know, we have some things, some adjustments that we have to make, as every team does. But as long as we all do our 1-11, everybody plays their job to their T and stop, and, you know, we're not trying to play everybody else's jobs, then we're going to be solid. We're going to be good. We mesh together so well. The team is like a family. We all, you know, talk every day. So I think that's important, especially because it's hard to play with people you don't like. And I don't have anybody on my team that I don't like. So and I didn't have anybody on the Legends that I didn't like either. I loved everybody. But I'm a very talkative, personable person. So it's not many people in this world that I don't like. But I like that we all can click and we can, you know, at the end of the day, we're gonna go to battle together, and then like whether we win or we lose, like we're still gonna be connected. So
as we wrap up this part of the interview or the part of the episode, what's one piece of advice that you would leave with our audience, whether that's like football advice or life advice or just advice in
something
general?
Strong, something powerful? Motivate me, because you've motivated me this whole time so far. So motivate the audience.
Ready to go do battle ropes.
I'm ready to go do battle ropes.
So I always tell myself 2 things or whatever. I'm sure you guys have seen Jalen Hurts. Like I posted this on one of my photos or whatever. Yeah. You know, I tell people all the time, like he said, I had a purpose for anybody ever had an opinion. Like people have always had their opinions on me, especially coming from college football, especially having a lot. And it's, again, you just always had to prove yourself. But I have a tattoo on me that just says, be so good they can't ignore you. And as long as, you know, I'm being myself and giving it my all, I don't have shit to worry about or what anybody can say. Like I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna dominate, and I'm gonna be confident about it, and I'm gonna talk my shit, and I'm gonna be Toni Harris. That's, you know, at the end of the day, that's all I have.
mentality.
That's one of my.
What they say, I got that dog in me.
Mentality. You got that dog in me.
I got that dog in me, and I'm gonna see.
She don't want no puppy. She wants a big dog.
She don't want no puppy. She want a big dog.
I'm glad you referenced Jalen Hurts because that man got quotes up the wazoo.
Yeah, I'm a Philly fan for sure. I was happy to see. I couldn't wait. I did not want Kansas City to win for shit in the Super Bowl. I was not going for them.
That's all right.
She's a KC fan.
Haters are
I love them, but I just feel like they're becoming the new Patriots, and I'm tired of seeing the same team win.
Don't like
I want to see something new.
Yeah, we over.
No, it's not. It's not. It's okay to be a champion for back to back, but then it gets boring because you already know what's to come. Switch it up a little bit. Maybe they come back in 2 or 3 more years. Travis Kelce will be retired, and then they got somebody else.
Yeah. So where can everyone find you on your social media or your platforms? What are your handles?
So my handle for IG is @_Toni Harris. TikTok, it might be official Toni Harris, Facebook Toni Harris, and like Twitter Toni Harris. I think everything is Toni Harris. Yeah.
Maybe a couple ways to spell Toni.
Toni.
Yeah, Toni, not with the Y.
Not with the Y.
Yeah.
What is that short for?
Antoinette.
You don't
don't ever call me that. Okay. I don't like. Yeah.
Don't ever call it. It's Toni.
Don't be the dog. Yeah, don't be a fed.
Toni the dog. Toni.
Or Tom Cruise.
Or Cruise. Toni Cruise.
Toni Cruise. I'm fucking dead. Lexi, who do you guys play this week?
Oh, yeah.
We played Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you guys play Jersey?
No, yeah, it'll be an away game. We're just going to drive up, drive back, which is the hardest thing to do. I don't know. Being in a car for so long, sitting and
having pointers, let me know. I got you. You want some pointers? Let me know. I got you.
Yeah, always.
Pointers. You should give her pointers because she'll know what she's doing on the field.
I'll tell you about the team.
Give her pointers on how to catch a ball.
Not those pointers. Lexi's a baller. She don't need those pointers.
And we'll talk to you soon. Good luck the rest of the way. We will talk to you after season for sure. We're gonna see how this unfolds.
Yeah, we'll see.
I can't wait.
Good luck in your season, and Lexi, good luck. I'll see you next week.
That's right. See you next weekend. Our second guest today is Terry, and I know that he's been facing a lot of criticism online and a bunch of DMs and a bunch of just shit. So we decided to get him on the show so we could talk more shit.
Lister.
So
TL
Terry
Talkz,
Lister,
as he likes to go by, because TL talks a lot of nonsense with his rankings.
Yeah. And I know that you have a history in football, but I'll have you introduce yourself and a little background about what makes you think that you know enough about football to give rankings.
Yeah, tell us about your background, Terry.
The audacity, right? The audacity.
Thanks for coming on the show. Give us your story.
Yeah. So I want to try to give you the speeded up answer so we don't take too much time. So football is a huge part of my life. I breathe football. I've played it my whole life, literally from little league all the 2 years ago in flag. I always thought I'd be a good coach. And so when I moved to Denver about 12 years ago, I kind of stumbled upon women's football on an ad online. And I started coaching with the Mile High Blaze in the WFA. So I was their head coach for the first 4 years. We definitely won a lot more games than we lost. Our highlight was going all the way to the game before the national championship, where we played St. Louis Slam in St. Louis. We had them playing them really tight by halftime. Then they pulled away in the second half. So that was the furthest we ever got. They fired me in that off season because the players had a players only meeting where they decided to get rid of me because they said this is as far as we could get with Terry. So that's interesting, to say the least. And then I took a year off because I was kind of just, obviously in my feelings and just not really knowing if I wanted to continue coaching. Then the WNFC started and the Denver Bandits were formed. And OJ reached out to me and invited me to one of the first ever WNFC meetings in Plano, Texas. I went to that meeting. And then there's a team in Denver that Marcel was coaching. So OJ's told Marcel he should reach out to me. So he did. We met up at Starbucks and talked. I ended up joining their team as a coach. I was an OC, then an assistant OC. And then the last 2 years, I was the analyst. So I would watch film. I'd watch a lot of film, and I'd have all the plays scripted up for the other team. So when we were at practice, I could run the other team's plays for our defense. And so
I really respect the people that take the time to do that.
That's tedious.
Because it makes, it's tedious also, yes, but it makes the practice so much more effective. You know,
so
like you get to rep real situations and
repping.
Yeah. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's what I did the last 2 years with the Denver Bandits. And then last season, Marcel was the head coach. He stepped down as head coach. And I was one of the people that interviewed to be the next head coach of the Denver Bandits. And they decided to go with another person named Sam. And so, at a certain point, I had to take an inventory of my life and what was pouring into me versus what I was pouring into and what was paying the bills and what wasn't paying the bills. And I was in a tough financial situation. And so it's like, you know what? I'm kind of getting tired of feeling slighted. So let me go ahead and excuse myself and I'll just be a fan like I am now. It's all good. No hard feelings. And so that's what I do now. I follow the sport. I love football. I love women's football. I wanted to get more exposure. And so with my platform that I have, I put out the rankings, I put out the score predictions. I take pride, I think me and Amanda are very similar in that way. I take pride in being a nerd and really doing a deep dive to make sure that these things are as accurate as possible, which obviously I realize is ironic because of the Washington-Atlanta result. But yeah, so I enjoy the sport. I have nothing but good intentions. I just like covering it. And it's just a fun hobby. I don't get paid for it. I wish I did, but in the meantime, it's fun. And I have to take the good with the bad. So when I'm wrong, people like Lexi cannot wait to tell me. So here we are.
I know.
How do you feel
after I left and I was like taking off my stuff, I was like, I can't wait to tell Terry.
Like, how do you feel? I can't
wait to see what he's about to say about this.
We're not gonna act like I'm important, but yeah, I think it's a little bit of a mixture. So I want to say one thing, just to be transparent. When I watched episode 4, when Amanda brought up my diabolical rankings, which is hilarious.
Nice.
If you rewatch that episode, whenever she brings up my name or my rankings, if you watch Lexi's body language, she literally she looks like she's
cringing.
I don't like that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wait, I thought we were cool. Like, are we friends?
She likes when people doubt her.
I like to poke fun, but it's no hard feelings. I like you as a person. I didn't mean to show disgust every time someone said your name.
It's just the natural. The body wants what it wants. Like it's.
Oh man, that was funny to me though. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my story. How football, how I got into women's football, and it's been one of the biggest blessings of my life. I made some lifelong friends. I've learned some lifelong lessons. I was raised very, religious, and a lot of the ways I was raised is very black and white. You know what I mean? To judge certain people and condemn certain people, and women's football has allowed me to open my eyes that life isn't always black and white. So I'm eternally grateful for that.
Terry, I love that. That's exactly why I think women's tackle football is so different.
Yep.
The game is essentially the same, but the on-field battle mentality that you have with people who are in a sport that wasn't originally made for them is so different. It creates this energy and community that essentially is why I started this podcast. But it brings together a community that's just so strong-headed, and they have just a different type of mindset. And that's what I was trying to say also with Toni, is that it just creates it creates when you have to do something after work and you're tired and you have to put in these hours and risk your body, and then there's film, you're just spending so much time on this hobby, and after doing it for 10 years you just realize you're just a different type of person.
Go home and feed your babies, whether that baby be a human baby or dog babies. We have dog babies in here. I know you have a sweet Jackson baby over there, Terry, who I admire from afar. That's one of the other things that Terry and I have shared a common interest, and Lexi as well, is that we were all dog lovers here.
Aww.
We all love the babies. So Terry, I'm on your page right now, and Pinky decided to tag you right after the game saying, "Hey Terry."
Of course you did. Of course
Terry,
you did.
what are the three certain things in life, Terry? I gotta know.
All right, so the first two you might have heard before, ladies. Death and taxes are the first two. And the third one is, when you're wrong, women cannot wait to tell you about it.
What happened after the game, after all the games on Saturday?
Oh, I thought you never would ask. So
I didn't know.
Three things happened. I got an immediate DM from Foe, who plays for Kansas City, who beat Texas.
Shocker.
Trolling me about, oh, we were supposed to lose by how many? And I said 21. And, just being obnoxious. Then I got tagged by Pinky from Washington saying, woo Terry with the awkward emoji face. So that was cute.
That's always going to happen.
Yeah. Do you think that you have more of a target on your back after we mentioned you on the podcast? Like, are you getting the most shit you've ever gotten from your rankings now?
It's hard to say because,
you're just a target in general.
Yeah, I think I am a target in general. In women's football, like when you say that they're going to lose, they take that shit. I mean, real serious. So
especially in the WNFC.
They're hoping to prove you wrong. When they prove you wrong, they can't wait to tell you about it. So that's a common theme. So, I mean, I have gotten some reactions this season, but I think that's kind of always been the case. But definitely your podcast has put more eyes on it. And so I appreciate you guys bringing me up. And
we wanted you to be able to speak to it yourself.
Speak to it. Explain.
I feel like it's always one-sided. If you're not here and we're talking about you, so we wanted to get you on here so you could talk shit.
That's very fair.
And especially explain these latest rankings after week 1. We'll just go top 5. We got Mississippi, Seattle, San Diego, Washington, and KC, who just beat Texas at number 5. So I need you to explain this, and then I will pick this apart.
Oh, that's blasphemy. Where do you want me to begin? I mean, I
need you to begin. All right. So Mississippi, we'll keep that there. I need you to go from Seattle down to number 5.
Okay. So Seattle's at number 2 because I used to have Texas at number 2, and that's definitely not true. Seattle put up 50 points, which I think Amanda's right that Rodney was trying to prove a point. No pun intended. So they put up 50, which is a lot of points. I mean, let's be honest. Like in women's football, one of the problems are that teams don't put up points. They put up 50. So I was impressed with how they handled Vegas and how many points they scored. San Diego also put up 40 points against Utah. So that was also impressive. Washington spanked Atlanta just like Lexi said they would. And so I put them at 4. And then Kansas City is up next. They barely beat Texas. They beat them by 1 score. Texas had the ball at the 2-yard line at the end of the game with a chance to win. And so they won by a very small margin. But I still hold the opinion that Texas would have won that game with Bushman at quarterback or Kelly Smith at running back. And I think that's true. So just my opinion. I'm just some Italian guy in Colorado. Who cares? But those are how I feel, and that's why I have them.
Standing 10 toes down. 10 toes down.
Got to.
Terry
10 toes.
Terry 10 toes. Standing with his chest. Terry 10 toes.
That's gonna be a hashtag.
Standing with his chest. And so let me tell you why I don't have Seattle number 2.
Go ahead.
Okay. With all due respect, Coach Rodney. Okay.
No, this isn't personal at all, right?
First of all, the team they played, right?
Vegas. Yeah, of course. Yeah. They're not
Vegas,
very good.
Right? Vegas, the Silver Stars, one of the worst teams in the league. When I watched that game, and I watched the whole thing.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to offend anybody on Vegas, but I'm going to call it as it is, okay? As I always do. That is an amateur team, right? When I think about the teams that I've blown out that are just bad, I don't take pride in that. And I've been a part of a lot of blowout wins, like especially in 2019, we averaged like 40-something points a game. We blew every team out. And I never took pride in the teams that were just not coordinated. It was just sloppy on their end. Punts were going over their head. And in this game, the kickoff from the get-go was fumbled, right? And Seattle gets it inside the 20. Couple handoffs later, touchdown. Almost a fumble on the first actual play once they get the ball back, right?
Yeah.
They go for it on 4th and forever, which was 4th and 20, with an all-out blitz from the linebackers. 4th and 20. Somebody who can't throw the ball. All-out blitz from the linebackers and the safety playing over top, and she can't get the ball there, and it's a pick 9 because we don't do pick 6s anymore because this isn't actual football. Pick 9, right? And it just starts to crumble from there. right? Which the coach should call a timeout if he sees an all-out blitz with a quarterback who can't get the ball down the field on 4th and 20, and you have a safety over top. Like, you're not going to have time to get the ball. 4th and 20.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Vegas,
Agreed.
Vegas, another point in the game, try to punt the ball. The ball was over their head to get the ball inside the 20 again. Field position was big, and they've had like 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns, right? Everything was so easy. It was 30-0 at the end of the first quarter, right? But all the self-inflicting mistakes that this team that just is really a bottom level women's team in general, doesn't matter the league. I don't take pride in that. And despite all of that, there was still a deep ball that was dropped by Vegas that would have went for a score, right? If Vegas would have caught it, then they scored 2 touchdowns, right? Which says something. And, like uncoordinated stuff, an untouched fumble, a fumble on a reverse that nobody touched the person, right? It's just like the basics of the game aren't there. So I don't take Seattle's 50 burger like everybody else, because I watched the game and I have to trust my eyes. And it's like, okay, this is a bottom level team. If they do that against KC, Texas, they do it against San Diego, I'd be impressed. But because of the team, I wasn't impressed. So they are still remaining where they are at for my rankings. What do you feel about that?
I agree for the most part. I mean, I think I called it, or maybe I didn't. I forgot what I said. But
we said Seattle was going to win.
Yeah, Seattle's going to win. But I also don't think, and I've played Seattle before, and like I said, they've made a lot of changes, and it's been a long time since I played them, but it seemed to me like they had a lot of culture things to address before they were going to be someone who could compete. So I don't know if they worked that stuff out or if they just blew somebody out that wasn't a competitor, but I just want to say that you can fix those small things and adjust them and become a competitor. It's not, when we say a bottom level feeder, team.
I just called it how it was.
I think that it is what it is, but also everyone can get better. Everyone can start from there. It was the first game. I think everyone has the first game jitters and everyone is trying to figure out what they're going to do. But as far as the scheme goes and how they're going to adjust, but it's a blowout. You know what I mean? They didn't, it just felt like so much struggling was happening and they were just shooting themselves in the foot. But if you can get on the same page and you can get coordinated with your team, I think that you can make a big difference in that. At least bring up 2 scores, the drop and then.
I think a lot of it is just coaching was just bad. Why go for on 4th and 20 and you see there's an all-out blitz. It's just little things like that, little details. There's an all-out blitz. Your quarterback doesn't have a strong enough arm. You have a safety playing over top. It just doesn't make sense. It's early-ish in the game. I think this is their second possession, so it's not a blowout at that point. So personally, and I'm not trying to shade anybody who plays for Seattle. I'm not trying to shade it. And I don't have anything against Seattle, right? I don't have any ties to them. But I don't feel like I was impressed by it. I feel like they handled the team that was inferior to them. So Terry, KC and Texas. This was the game of the week, right? I don't know. Did you go back and watch this game?
Yeah, I watched most of it. Yeah.
Okay. What was your take on that?
I was not impressed. I was not impressed with Texas. Yeah, I was not impressed with Texas or Kansas City, which I know Kansas City's going to have something to say about that. But I don't think it was high level football. It seemed sloppy, drop passes. I think Angel was a little bit too. She had happy feet in the pocket. You know what I mean? She'd run out of the pocket when she didn't need to, and so. It wasn't really productive on offense. I thought, Maria Fatali had a nice game, and she definitely ran with some swagger and juice, and so that was cool. But also, Texas just isn't what they used to be, and we didn't know that until now. Like I said, I didn't know if Bushman's playing or not. There's a big difference. All respect to Angel, I respect her as an athlete, but huge difference between Bushman and Angel. And there's also, they had their safety playing running back with Yarborough. They're both, bigger backs, power backs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Smith is a completely different type of back that's really fast and runs, behind her pads. And so she's just a unique back. And so They do have Rambo. I'm not sure how many touches Rambo got, but I think that was missing as far as, having that home run threat for Texas. And so I just wasn't impressed really with both teams. I have to give Kansas City credit for pulling out the win. They did it fair and square. But I think when they travel to Mississippi this week, Mississippi has something for them. So we'll get into that here shortly.
Yeah. After that game, we're really going to see where things land.
Yeah.
Because there's too many variables from Kansas City to
Mississippi,
Texas. Like there were too many things going on. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's too many different changes. There's too many, like quarterback changes and personnel changes and coaching changes. I think that was just a hard game to judge. It's the very first game, but playing Mississippi, I think we're going to see where the cards actually fall.
Yeah. All right. So as we wrap this up, before we get you out of here, we're going to play a game called Fact or Cap. All right. Fact means you agree with it. Cap means you disagree with it. False. All right. And I have 7 questions for you. We're going to give you 30 seconds. That way you don't have a chance to think about it. You have to just go with your heart. And the first thing you think of, all you have to do is say fact or cap.
All right.
Then you do that?
I hope I'm ready. Go ahead.
30 seconds.
30 seconds on the
clock. Hold on. 30 seconds starting now.
KC is the team to beat in the WNFC.
Cap.
With no Bushman, Texas will lose multiple regular season games for the first time.
Fact.
The Washington Prodigy will represent one of the 2 teams in the 9 Cup championship.
Cap.
Chicago is the most competitive expansion team between them, Atlanta, and Jersey.
Fact.
QB play is the biggest hindrance in women's football.
Fact.
Lexi Floor is a top 5 receiver in women's football.
Fact.
Amanda Congialdi is your favorite QB in women's football.
And time.
Oh, fact.
Fact or cap, Terry?
Fact.
All right, you did. Bravo for Terry. Terry, he didn't know what was going to come out. I was just swinging at him. You took a little bit long on some of.
I didn't know.
Lexi didn't know I had these in my pocket.
I was like, I don't know.
She didn't know that, but you took a little bit long on some of them. You really had to think about it. But no, we're going in on this. So so I'm looking forward to seeing your rankings come out. I was going to ask you here, well, not your rankings, but I was going to ask you your game picks here. But we're gonna get it Fridays. When you're gonna give it out, right?
Yep. So I always do Face the Music on Sunday, new rankings on Monday, score predictions on Friday. So I like to keep that consistent. So,
but sometimes you face music on Saturday after the games.
Well, Saturday, yeah, I mean, literally I do. Yeah, but on social media, I do it on Sunday. Yeah.
Where can people find you on your socials?
So, my name's Terry Lister. So Terry, Lister like Listerine is my Facebook. Most of my stuff is public, so anybody can check it out. And then I have a podcast called TL Talkz with a Z at the end, that I used to interview amazing people like the 2 women I'm looking at right now. And so all my archive episodes are on there on YouTube and the audio version.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. Thanks again for being a fan of women's tackle football and also trying to energize the community and keep things going. So yeah. We appreciate you.
And engaging and just honestly taking all those brutal hits that you get.
Yeah. You're still up,
and
right?
Still up, right? He's still alive. Can't kill him.
Strong shoulders. Yep. No problem.
10 toes Terry.
So that's it for this episode of the Peach Pod. Subscribe, like, and share so that we can promote women's tackle football or women's sports in general. We're always sponsored by Protagonist Apparel, owned by a female athlete. If you want, check out that website at www.protagonistapparel.com. It's protagonist with a Y. Until next time, keep your pads low and your game high.
This is just 2 peaches in a pod signing off.